Hi, everybody. Welcome to another installment of the LA Guitar Hang. I'm really excited today. I have a new member that's going to be on here. Dr. Molly Miller is with me. And thank you for doing this, Molly. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was just saying before, I'm at my parents' house right now, so I was trying to make like a makeshift situation for myself. But I'm nonetheless, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. I've never met Molly before. I've heard great things and I've seen some of your videos and was really impressed with what you're doing. And I figured it'd be really cool to talk to you today and see what's going on with your music and what you've been up to lately. So, like, what have you been doing during these COVID times?
Oh man, I feel like there's so many answers in there. There's like all these different phases. The first phase
Hmm.
of like, oh my God, what's going on? And just like Uh, yeah, so it shifted. Like the first few months, I moved actually down to my parents' house, where I am now. My little brother is a drummer, Sammy Miller. He's a jazz drummer, and the two of
Cool.
us were quarantining here with my parents and just playing a ton of music and trying to be like, what do we do now? We like created a lot of education material and just like recorded songs together, just kind of figuring out. So I was super grateful for that. That was definitely like the first part, while still like doing Zoom teaching. And then we started doing some live shows, like private events and some private concerts and some smaller public, outdoor socially distant ones. Then we were in lockdown. I don't know what I've been doing. Working with a ton of gear companies. I've been super grateful to be doing that. I've connected with, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like been such a strange year, but it's still like a lot of beautiful things have happened in the year.
Yeah.
Uh, and like the things that I always strive, which like the things I always lean into, which is community. And through my community, I still feel like a lot of cool things have happened. Um, yeah, like I did a cool project this year through Taylor Guitars where I arranged some songs for them for Disney. It was like Disney, Taylor Guitars, and Guitar Center did a thing that, yeah, so I did that. Worked with different companies and like live streams, recorded some music. Oh, what have I teaching a ton? But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been staying busy, but it's always just feels like things pop up. A vendor will be like, "Hey, can you do a live stream?" I'll be like, "Sure." And of course, I'm still running the guitar department at Los Angeles College of Music. So sort of just like, yeah, but I've been staying busy. As you can see, I'm kind of rambling, but it's
Yeah, I
been
was going to say,
pretty.
you sound like you're really busy. The COVID hasn't slowed you down at all.
I mean, it's just funny. Like before this, I was going so I was moving nonstop and sort of almost to my detriment, where I'd like get off a flight from Singapore and go to teach, and after teaching have a gig. Just kind of like
Hmm.
I wanted to push myself to the edge to see how far I could do, how much I could fit into my days.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this time has taught me to try to like balance is actually nice, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's the thing with this COVID thing is it's kind of made a lot of people slow down and kind of take a second look at their life, and
Yeah.
for a lot of people it's been very cathartic, I feel like for me, I talked about this before. My life didn't change too much. I'm still teaching a lot and spending time with my family and playing
Yeah.
guitar, and it's not gigging for sure, and I'm
Of
not
course.
going out very much, which is a real drag, but other than that I'm still keeping busy and teaching and doing all that other stuff.
Yeah, I mean that is for me definitely the hardest part is like not going out and seeing music and playing music. Like that's the part of my life that I miss the most, or like
Yeah.
like that's the thing I miss,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, going out and playing that's what it's all about, isn't it?
yeah, like playing and seeing music, like that's where I get my fuel and my fire, and it's like if I'm that's where I get inspired, and so some days, the monotony of quarantine, I think some days I felt less inspired. Where in normal life, I'd go to a show and then be fired up, and so I think for me that's been challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, where did you grow up? Did you grow up here or somewhere else?
Yeah, I grew up out here, in Palos Verdes in the South Bay. And then when I went to USC for undergrad, master's, and my doctorate, I stayed at USC for all that time. I had a really great experience at USC, Thornton School of Music,
Hmm.
Studio Jazz Guitar Department. So I was there for 9 years. And then during that time, I was working and teaching and started touring and just like kind of building my community and building my thing, while still being in school. And yeah, and I feel like as soon as I graduated, everything's kind of like clicked. I feel
Right.
super fortunate for that. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. So I always kind of like to go back to the early days. I think I read somewhere, saw somewhere about you where you were really inspired by Jimi Hendrix earlier on. And like what age did you start getting into guitar? Were your parents into guitar, or anyone in your family?
Yeah, so I'm the middle of five children.
Wow.
And when I was seven, our eight we're all 2 years apart. So, it was 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. My
Yeah.
parents, mostly my dad, was like, okay, you guys are gonna be in a family band. And Molly, you're playing guitar. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
and so from 7 to 14, it was like every day was band practice with my siblings and whatnot. And so that's when it started. But for me, guitar, it was just like something I did, It's
Hmm.
like I played music with my family, and like in fifth grade, I started playing with my friends, like like playing Blink 182 songs, like whatever was popular.
Yeah.
And then I learned Purple Haze in seventh grade, and that was like the light bulb moment. It was like, oh, I didn't realize guitar is cool. Like up until then, it was just like something I did, and Hendrix was a huge inspiration. Yeah, so I had a lot of these different kind of like, or a lot. I had a few of these like light bulb moments. Definitely the Hendrix one. And then when I was 16, I spent a summer. I did just like a 1 week program at Berklee College of Music, a guitar summer sessions, and that was when I was like, holy crap, like this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life. Like not like, oh, I think maybe whatever. It was just like this really cathartic experience I had of like clarity, like, oh, this is my life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. And did you have a guitar teacher that helped you early on?
Yeah, I was fortunate. I had a few, but like I feel like I had a like I had I'm really lucky. My parent I always had some sort of guitar teacher. So like when I was in middle school, my guitar teacher was this guy, Mark Fichette, who was based out in the South Bay. And he's the person who showed me Jimi Hendrix, like showed me Purple Haze and kind of helped me realize guitar is cool and it's actually something I'm into. And then in high school, I started working with this guy, Steve Cotter. Yeah,
Oh, I know Steve.
I was going to say, you probably know Steve.
I had him on here. He's a great guy, great
I,
player.
I love Steve. Yeah. I mean, I'm forever grateful for him. He changed my life, like all these
Hmm.
guitar teachers. I was actually talking about this with my brother the other day. Like, it's crazy. These, like, each one of these people changed my life.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, like, so Steve got me into jazz. He was the first person, he like would bring me burnt CDs of like Grant Green and Wes Montgomery and Jim Hall and like taught me so much and helped prepare me for college because that was my goal. I wanted to study music in college.
Yeah.
Um, and so he helped prepare me for that. And then at USC, I had so many amazing teachers there. Bruce Foreman was a huge mentor to me. Like I worked with all the faculty at USC, Frank Potenza and Nick Stubis and Tim Kobza, Pat Kelly, like Richard Smith, like Adam Del Monte, classical guitar. Like, I mean, like every single one of them, like Steve Travato, I had like a really meaningful relationship with, and they were all so generous with me. And like, I feel so fortunate for my time there because I learned so much from all of them. And yeah, so yes, I had some amazing teachers. And then like even later on, like I got to work with Patrice Rushen, who's a piano player. But when I was at USC, I got to study with her, and she was Jason Goldman as well. And then like even now, still I can Adam Levy, Adam Levy I met while I was at USC. He gave a master class, and then I was like, hey, can I take a guitar lesson from you? And now he's like a dear friend. But the people I play with, I still consider my teachers. It's like I learned so much from all these people who are I get to work with.
Yeah. Everybody's a teacher. Every musician you ever play with, even if they're not what you like, you learn something from it. You know what I mean? It's like you learn from
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. Are you from out here?
I'm actually from South Florida.
Oh, cool.
And I moved out here 2001. So, I mean, I'm a Californian now. I've been here a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been, I'm just one of the guys around town, just knocking around, playing a lot of jazz. And I play other kinds of music. I play different kinds of jazz, but I like singer-songwriter stuff, play some blues. I'm kind of in a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So when you were with Cotter, you were learning jazz. And when you went to USC, like, was it like the studio guitar program? Is that right?
Yeah, it's called studio jazz guitar, so it's definitely based in jazz. Like that's what it's rooted in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like we did a mixture of things. Like a lot of some pop classes, fingerstyle classes, classical guitar classes, blues class. It was like we were exposed to a lot of different genres, and definitely jazz was at the heart of it. But I think that the expectation was just fretboard awareness and playing at a really high level. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, that it was like not even. I mean, well, I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely like jazz centric, but with just the emphasis of like get good at this thing and understand this thing.
And did you have a preference for any particular style? Like, did you like go all the way in on jazz, or were you kind of always open-minded to different styles the whole time?
Yeah, more the latter. It was like I play a lot of, like I don't even consider myself exactly I mean I play I'm a jazz guitar player. I play jazz guitar, but it's not by any means the only thing I do or like my only love or whatever. Like to me it's like I just love the guitar and I love I love having a voice within the guitar, and it is definitely a conglomerate of a lot of the things I've studied, and definitely jazz is a huge part of that, but pop and country and soul and funk and groove music and melodic, thinking for me it's like bigger than a genre. It's like playing playing appropriately, playing convincingly, getting people intrigued, having something to say that's clear. Those
Yeah.
are things that are I kind of like more focused on per se than genre. Well, but of
And
course,
when
like today I was like transcribing a country solo. Like of course I'll like go into genres, but like it's like I study all these things so then I can go on stage and be free.
Yeah, because when I hear you're playing, I hear a lot of different influences. I mean, I like your trio stuff. I was checking out, like you do all these pop covers,
Mhm.
and there's a real simplicity to how you do it. Like it's not over range and there's nothing flashy. It just there's an honesty to it that I really like that kind of reminds me of somebody like a Bill Frisell. Like when he does like a tune like that. I remember he did like a John Lennon record and people were like, are you going to do it in seven or whatever? And he's like, no, I'm just going to play the tune because they're great tunes. Why do I have to do anything with it?
Yeah,
It's that kind
exactly.
of approach.
Honoring the song, I think
Mhm.
that's what people forget to do. It's like, and that's, I mean, I've learned that also a lot from people I worked with, like Jennifer Condos and Jay Beller. It was like my trio. It's not about flexing, it's about like honoring the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you use a nice choice of tunes, like maybe like soul tunes or Motown tunes that people know, but they're not overplayed and they're not even necessarily a standard yet. They're just kind of a cool choice,
Thank you. Yeah.
you know? And then were you gigging in high school at all, or did you just kind of go through school right away?
Yeah, I mean, this is like I feel really fortunate because I'm from LA. I went to school in LA. I'm still in LA. I never left. So like I've always had a community of people. So, it wasn't often. I probably had a few gigs a month in college. It would be like
Hmm.
the random casual of like, there's some event down here. Can you play background jazz for 3 hours? Or like a random artist would have a show at Hotel Cafe or whatever. And then it just, grew and grew. So when I graduated from college, maybe I was playing a few times a month to by the time I finished my master's, I was playing at least a few times a week, and then
Hmm.
I was gigging 200 dates a year.
Yeah. And then did you get a DMA or a PhD or DMA?
Yeah, DMA. I got the less academic version.
Yeah, PhDs are like, oh God, you got to write like a book. It's like really heavy duty.
Yeah, I wrote enough papers. I remember I went straight through, so 9 years at USC, and my graduation lunch. I'll never forget. My dad looks. He's like, "So are you gonna get your PhD now?" Like not jokingly, very seriously. Like, okay, Molly, now's time to get to work. I was like, "What? I just got a doctorate. Heck no, I'm not going back to school." But
Yeah,
I do miss parts of it. I like being in school. It's fun.
yeah. Well, you must like to write papers, right? You've probably done a lot of it.
I don't like to write papers, but what I do like the thing I miss about school is the level of conversation, the type of thinking you do, where it's not, I think most of the time we're just kind of like you read a book, okay, cool, maybe you'll have a conversation, you have you have some sort of discussion, but you never have to like go really deep into the meat of things. It's not as necessary. So that part of school I do miss. And that's I don't like writing papers, but I like having to be coherent because if you can tell, I just start to ramble. So it's nice to
It's
be like,
okay.
to like pull myself back and have to really be like, okay, well, what are you trying to say? What's your point? I get to do some of that sort of work on though at like in school, for example, like really thinking it's problem solving. I think that's the thing I like to do is problem solve.
Right, right. And now, I know you stay with Bruce, and he actually talked about you quite a bit on the Guitar Wank podcast, which I'm a big fan of. And he had mentioned that your dream was to play with Jason Mraz, and you got to do that. So how did that whole thing come together?
That's yeah. Bruce is like Bruce is like an uncle to me. I freaking love him so much.
He's amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna do something together in a few weeks. I'm excited about like a guitar webinar thing. Um,
Cool.
but Bruce, I know not Bruce, Jason. So like I always say like community is everything. So I was working with this Afrobeat funk band, just like bar band, like and the band leader in that band had played with Jason and was playing with Jason's best friend at the time, this guy Bushwalla, Billy Galewood. And one day, like I get a phone call. They're like, Molly, can you come down to San Diego? This is actually like 10 years ago. Molly, can you come down to San Diego? The guitarist has to like can't make it. We have an album release, 12 songs, learn that, or like 50. It was a lot. It was like learn 15 songs, come down tomorrow. And I was like, sure. And it wasn't like, oh, I want to get the Jason gig. But I started working with Jason's friend, Billy Galewood then. And so I met Jason through that world, but also he was a fan of that Afrobeat funk band I was in. And we did a couple sessions for him, played a couple parties for him. Like he had some house parties that we played. And then, he asked me 4 years ago, actually October will be 5 years,
Uh-huh.
to play if I like wasn't he like, yeah, I think he just like liked my playing. And like we worked together a few times because of that, because of the Afrobeat band he liked, and because he's seen me play through his friend's band. And I think he just liked my playing, and then asked me to he was like putting together a new band for a new record, and asked if I wanted to do a show. So my first show was with him was a corporate gig. So it was like at Petco Park, and I forget, it was like for Bank of America or something.
Yeah. It's a big gig.
Yeah, and I was so excited because yeah, like Bruce said, like I always loved Jason's music, and I knew some of the people in his community, and they're like these warm, kind people. I think, and I feel like there's so many camps and groups and artists that are like not kind, and I
Yeah.
hate saying that. It's not. I wish it was different, but some people don't always use their power for good, and Jason is someone who uses his power for good that has created a really beautiful scene, and I feel super lucky to be a part of it.
Were you playing more of an electric lead role or more of a co-rhythm role, or how would you describe
Yeah,
it?
lead guitar.
Cool. Cool. Awesome. So are you still playing with him, or you are?
Yeah, we have some stuff. Actually, what month are we on? We're in March. So next month we have some stuff, and then summer we have some stuff. Of course, it's always like for the last year, it's been like, oh, it's getting pushed back a few months. Oh, it's getting pushed back a few months, just because it's been an insane time. But I'm actually hopeful. I think some of this stuff coming up is going to actually happen. So yeah, next month we're supposed to do some things.
Do you
And
think
I,
will do you
I
think
was on
there'll
the
be
last couple of.
live shows this year? It seems like things are getting good right now. There's a good feeling
I
that
know.
things are going to get better.
Everyone keeps I keep getting, everyone needs to get vaccinated and whatnot. Yeah, I'm hopeful. I mean, I definitely, it's been the last couple of weeks. It's already, I'm getting more calls for things, and booking things down the line, and live shows and tour dates. I feel like almost every day it's like something's popping in the calendar that's probably, and we're making me really hopeful. So yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? How do you feel about it all?
I think it's going to start getting better. I mean, it's weird. I live in Orange County, and this is like where the gigs are right now.
Yeah.
People are coming down here to play, and there's a few places, and um I tell them I have a group of guys that seem to be gigging at this one place down in Irvine. That's a really cool place because everything's spread out. It's very safe.
Mm,
And I've been telling them, I go, dude, if you're playing, tell me, I'll come and hang. And usually they'll let me sit in,
nice.
and that's been like a lifesaver because it's like I can get out
I
of the
know.
house.
Right? Like any show, there was like a few month period, Urban Radish in downtown. I think they actually just closed that location.
I heard about that. That was
Yeah.
something was going on.
Oh, so fun. Like I played one night. I got to play with Jen, and Kyle Crane played drums. It's his gig. It was super fun. But just like, yeah, every Wednesday I was going to listen to music, and it was just like, ugh, you know, healing.
I didn't hear about that till like after the fact. That kills me because I totally would have gone out.
Hmm.
It's like shit. I wish I had known about that.
Hmm.
So that's cool. When did you start your trio? I really enjoy that kind of stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we have one single out, but we have another single out coming out March 12th, and then the record comes out June. Oh, one more single like end of April, but the record comes out June 4th. We have a new record. The trio, same thing, kind of happened pretty organically. Like because I was getting hired to book instrumental gigs, and so I started like one at Perch for 5 years. I was playing at Perch in downtown. Um, and then Jennifer Kondo started playing with us. And I had met her a few times and we had really clicked and she invited me over one day and we like wrote some music together and hung. And then I asked her if she wanted to do the gig and she was just a sub originally and then became a part of that. And then from there, Jay and I, when was this? I feel like 7 years ago or something, 6 years ago, we started playing together and it just like Jen's been so supportive. She was always like, Molly, you need a record, you need a record. So I just go to her and Jay's house and like, we'd play some of the tunes we were playing on gigs. And I feel like the trio became more solidified during that period. It was like a 6 month period, I think. I'd go over every couple weeks and we'd like drink wine and eat bread and cheese and like record a tune or two. And then yeah, then we were gigging a lot more and we had some tours lined up or like a mini summer tour for last summer, but now everything's postponed. So we'll see. Hopefully we can still do some tours. But yeah, it just was born naturally. Everything I've done that I'm proud of has happened so organically. I think,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And I kind of believe in that where you just like, you can't predict what's going to happen. That's definitely what 2020 taught us, right? You can't predict
Yeah,
anything.
nobody knows anything.
Yeah.
I
So, yeah.
I wanted to check out the whole CD. I didn't get a chance to. I did hear some covers. Do you like write a lot of your own tunes as well, or is it mostly covers? Like, how would you like? What's the ratio? Would you say?
Yeah, so like the record Shabby Roads recording is all covers.
Hmm.
Um and then the record coming out called St. George is all originals. And so now live it is probably 50-50, but originally I think even when we were trying to figure out our sound, it was I was like making arrangements, and we bring them to Jen and Jay and we'd kind of sort them out in rehearsals. So originally it was arrangements and Jen was so supportive of like, get some like write music, Molly. That's the and she yeah, so and now I've written a bunch of songs during quarantine too. So yeah, it's definitely grown.
That's cool. And like, are there any particular guitarists or artists that kind of influence the concept of your trio? Because like I was telling you, it's got a very like what's the word I'm looking? It's just very kind of an honest, kind of a stripped down feel, not like a lot of heavy arrangements, heavy reharms, and it just feels very natural. And it also, you can tell it comes from a jazz background, but it doesn't quite sound like a jazz group. It sounds more of an open kind of thing. So like, are there certain artists that kind of gave you the idea for that kind of concept?
I mean, not exact. It's kind of just like I don't sing, and
Hmm.
like I love songs, and that's true of standards. That's true of pop songs. That's true of soul songs or whatever. It's like I love songs, and what's the
Hmm.
intention of the song? And I think it's the blending of all these interests of mine. Of I love jazz music. I'm a guitarist, so that is my voice. I love improvisation. I love groove music. I love melody, so like having the song be at the center of the thing and then from there building an arrangement that's compelling because it's not like I don't change lyrics. It's not like my words are changing. So figuring out how with the three instruments how to build a song and tell a story. And so it's more like, yeah, like guitar, I love like Wes and Julian Lodge and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Bill Frisell, but also like Jackson Brown and the Beatles and Bob Dylan and like
Yeah.
these other influences too.
Do you guys stretch out more live, or do you like on the record? It seems like you stick closer to the song. Do you stretch more a little bit live?
Um, yeah, and also yeah, like when I'll play, yes, sometimes it kind of depends on the song. Sometimes it's like more open, and sometimes it's like 8 bars,
Hmm.
And I also like that because I like that. I like that it varies. I'm so into variation, like I love
Right.
playing with a bunch of different artists and playing with like a bunch of different people, but also like, yes, working on the one thing. So yeah, it varies, but we will go more open live.
Right, right. And then now, when did you become the director of guitar at the Los Angeles College of Music?
Yeah, I became the chair of the guitar department. I'm like 4 years ago, I think. I'm trying to think.
Uh,
Honestly, I'm so jacked up on time. It's like I was trying to remember. I graduated. I think it was 2000, April of 2017. I became the chair. Yeah,
mhm.
October of 2016. I started working with Jason, and and I started that same month teaching at LACM. Adam Levy was the chair then, and then I became the chair April 2017.
So you teach as well as kind of oversee the whole program.
Mhm.
And how many, like, who are some of the guitar teachers there right now?
Yeah, I mean, I saw you interviewed Brad Rabuchin.
Yeah, yeah, Brad, yeah.
Yeah, Brad's there. Ken Song. We have Bill
Okay.
Fowler, Art Renshaw, Joshua Ray Gooch, Brian Green, Mark Goldenberg was there for a minute. Ricky, I always just call him Ricky Z. Ricky Zaharia. I'm gonna mess up his name. Roberto Montero. Yeah, we have
A
a
lot of
good
people.
group. Yeah, there's like 11 of us. Yeah,
Wow, wow.
yeah,
And you kind of have different guys teaching different maybe genres and styles and things like that.
exactly. Yeah.
And what classes do you teach there?
Oh, I teach like it kind of varies because it kind of depends what's going on, but I teach every, ensembles, guitar ensembles, group ensembles, guitar pedagogy. So like the more academic class, some of the like the foundational classes are called string theory. I like wrote the books for the classes because they needed to be revamped when I went there.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, these like the core guitar technique classes, finger style I'll teach sometimes. Like what else do I teach? Um, and like a duo guitar playing class, um, and there's like kind of a trio class too that I teach.
Nice. And your book, like, what are some of the things in your book? Because I'm a guitar teacher as well, and I've been
Mm,
doing it for years and years, and I just love picking anybody's brain that also teaches guitar. And I've never written a book. I have all these materials.
yeah.
My thing has always been really, really close to the record. Like, I kind of just, it's like all the answers are on the recordings. It's all there. But
Yeah.
if someone can articulate that, that really interests me too. So, like, what are some of the like ideas that you may have in that book?
Yeah, I mean, like it kind of is the plot. It's like the assignments I can use to create music. It's like a platform to create music. So a
Okay.
lot of it is like a way I visualize the instrument and all the things. So it's like your arpeggios, your scales, your chord voicings, and within the books there's some assignments. I've actually been revamping them. I need to like dive deeper into it because some of the assignments are they're like musical assignments within there too. So it is like based off the like numbers, cage system, melody. Like those are the things. Like understanding the fretboard and number system is a big part
Mhm.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know how you feel, but I've talked about this as well. Like when I teach students, that's I'm such a fundamentals guy because I'll have someone come in and, oh, I don't improvise that well over these tunes and I'm having trouble. And then I'll kind of quiz them. And I'm like, you don't know your guitar neck well enough. Like
Yeah.
you're guessing. Like if you're playing over a D minor vamp and this area, the neck is kind of a black hole, that's a big problem. Like you need to
Well,
have the entire neck automatic where, because the goal is to not think about anything. It's just to hear and it should be automatic. And you got to know where everything's at. And so few people have that kind of control, right? And
I
that's
know.
probably what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's fretboard fluency, like yeah, fretboard fluency and how to I think it's how to map out the guitar because the guitar is not necessarily like a super intuitive thing to understand. Like the problem with the guitar is it's so easy. I don't know how else to say this. It's so easy to be mediocre. You can like
Hmm.
get your bar chords, you get some open chords, you got it. But then like in order to understand what you're doing, there's this big like hill you have to get over and it's painful and it's treacherous and you're like, can't I just do the shortcut? It's like, no, you won't get to the other side unless you go up this hill.
Yeah. Yeah. I always joke with my students. I go, there's only two ways to be truly great. One way is you have to be completely self-taught with an unbelievable ear and unbelievable talent,
Mhm.
or you have to learn everything. And I'm like, if you're in the middle where you know a few things that you kind of know, I'm like, you're dead. Like
Yeah.
you got to go all the way. And I always joke with them, like once they've been with me for a while, I go, it's too late for you because you already know some stuff. So I'm like, you can't unlearn that stuff. So now you got to go all the way in the other direction and just learn as much
Oh,
as possible.
I know. Feel like so much of it is filling gaps because I don't know if you feel this way. Like it's especially adult learners. Like we're not used to being bad at anything. We go
Yeah.
we go to a job we're pretty good at. We make this food we know how to make. Like everything we do in life, it's like we're pretty good at it. So then as an adult to have to be bad at something so hard, and especially on the guitar, if you know how to like play your pentatonics and kind of like do some things it's so hard to fill in those gaps, like some of the foundational things that you're talking about. It's like it hurts to like have to feel like to sound bad on guitar when you know you can sound better, but like in order to get to an actual further place, you have to do that hard stuff.
Yeah. And especially, I agree, like with adults, especially when it comes to improvisation, they get really frustrated that they don't sound good. And I tell them, I go, you're not going to sound good
Yeah,
for a while. You have to be willing to suck for a long time.
I
And that's
know.
hard for people to hear.
Oh yeah, God. Like I remember one of my growth spurts like that, where it's like in order to grow, I had to get bad for a second, or like bad. It's all relative, but I had to like stop doing the bad habits that I had created.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been there for a while. And then you had mentioned that you have a new album coming out soon. Like, you already recorded and everything?
Yeah, I recorded it 2019 November with Jen and Jay at United. All originals, and I'm so excited. It comes out June 4th. Yeah.
Mm. So all originals, just the trio.
hmm
And I was going to ask you if you were going to go on tour, but I don't know, maybe not, right?
We'll see. Jay and I are both like on hold for some tours. Jay, I think is going to be longer than mine. We'll see. But I definitely am going to do some shows with the record, whether it's I think it'll be 2022 and the record comes out in, June 2021. So even, I mean, well, Jen, Jay and I assume will be vaccinated by June. So hopefully we can do some sort of celebration live show. And then maybe we'll just do a couple shows and can do more in 2022. It's also wacky. And I think, I don't know how you feel, but basically it's like I have no expectation. I'm just like happy to be here, happy to be playing, happy to do whatever, and like not having expectations of touring quite yet. But I do think we will do I know that Molly Miller Trio will be touring. I don't know when or
Yeah.
yet.
Well, I'm in the same boat. Like I'm going to do a record this year, and it's my friends are like, yeah, you've been singing that for a while. But I'm gonna do it. And I'm kind of like putting it off because I kind of want to, when things start opening up, I kind of want to have a new album that's like ready to go. As
Yeah.
opposed to if I put it out now or 3 months ago. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter either way, but kind of part of me is like, I want to do like, okay, brand new and there's gigs, let's go. You
I
know,
know. What kind of record is it going to be? Trio or quartet, or do you know?
You know, I have different groups that I play with. I have this, my last couple records have been, I have this group called Trio Eclectic, and it's very based on the Paul Motion Trio with Frizzell.
Oh,
And
cool.
that's one of my favorite groups. So it's guitar, sax, and drums. And I
Awesome.
do all the loops like Frizzell. And actually, my sax player does loops too, Dave Goldberg, which Lovano doesn't do that in that group. The first record we did was with Jason Harnell, and the last one was with Chris Wabich. And so I'm ready for a straight ahead record. Uh, Part of me wants to do trio, and then the other part of me wants to play with some piano or Rhodes or something, because I've never done anything ever with piano. I've
Yeah.
always been the only chordal instrument. And some of the
Yeah.
tunes that I'm writing, like I have some tunes that are very just song based where it's just melody and chord changes, but then I have other songs that have like parts.
Cool.
So I kind of would like a fourth instrument maybe. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking of different people, but I don't know. I just got to get it going. It costs money and all that crap. You know how it is.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you want to be like fully ready and know what you're doing before you write checks to anyone.
Exactly, exactly. So like are there any guitar players or musicians that you're really into lately? Like any particular records that you're kind of hip to right now?
Oh, I mean, like guitar players that I always go back to that I love, are like Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Julian Lage is like a huge influence for me. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think if there's any.
Your trio reminds me of his trio a little bit. It has some of that sensibility to it, you
Yeah,
know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Especially his tunes. It has like the sound. It doesn't sound like a jazz trio the way it's produced. It sounds like a very intimate kind of rootsy kind of band. Although they're all jazz musicians, and it just has a different kind of sound to it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even on that note, like, I was listening to a go-go the other day, like Schofield
Oh,
go-go. There's like,
unbelievable.
yeah, like, I still love Schofield, but then also, like, there's a lot of, like, like, this year, like, I got into the Wood Brothers. They're awesome.
Oh, I love them.
Me too. JJ, like JJ Cale, I freaking adore. Trying to think of
Yeah.
some other, or Steve Miller band. There's like such a mixture of music that I always go back to, or that I discover. Some contemporary, like, yeah.
Do you listen to the band?
I love, love, love the band. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I always joke like as I'm a jazz guitar player, but I also write singer-songwriter stuff. So I'm kind of a closet folk singer.
Yeah.
Like I'll sing. I'm not that great at it, but I just do it. I love it. But so I listen to all the singer-songwriters. I'm a freak over Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and
Me too. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know if you listen to like any Ray LaMontagne. He's unbelievable.
I love, yeah, and Jen and Jay played with him for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a big,
Yeah.
yeah, I love Ray. Totally. Bob Dylan's like, I adore Joni Mitchell. Some of her stuff just like I melt with. I totally agree. Like the singer Fiona Apple, like Nora Jones, I really like. There's like so.
Sure.
It's
Tell me
just,
about Sister Rosetta Tharpe. People talk about her, and I don't know about her. I
oh
miss.
God, she's my queen. She's the best. Yeah, she was this badass guitar player. Kind of in like she was crossover from the gospel world and sort of entered the secular space, but it was this. She was like invented rock and roll, but it was kind of in the guise of like R&B, gospel, blues, like jazz. She sang with Lucky Millinder for a while, and Count Basie she worked with, but and she was this like wailing guitar player, front woman, like so dynamic. So she was playing electric guitar right when it was, like late 30s, early 40s, right at the when it was invented, and was doing double stops and like the windmill, like was such a showman, and like
Wow.
sliding up and down. It was this like awesome blending of like blues and what would be rock, and some jazz, but like not. Her guitar playing wasn't as jazzy, I'd say, a little bit, because there was some like outlining of changes, but more like R&B, blues, pre-rock and roll. She like greatly influenced so many people: Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis, and I want to Rick James. Wait, no, no. Why am I Little Richard?
Little Richard. Yeah.
Little Richard's first show on stage was with Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Like she's in Bob Dylan, St. Vincent, Brittany Howard. Like she influenced so many people, and like all these people who are known as the creators of rock and roll actually stole her shit.
Wow. And it's, usual tale. It's probably because she was female that she didn't get the credit that she deserved at that time, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is like she was touring around. Yeah, it was like late 30s, 40s, or 30s, 40s. Yeah, she was like black female guitarist, and she did so many things that were so ahead of her time. Like she had a band that was both blacks and whites, and like Elvis, at her backup band was the Jordanaires, who actually Elvis stole her backup singers.
Oh,
um
wow.
but yeah, she was doing so many like inventing like rock and roll. She was doing so many things. She was ahead of her time, and I feel like now she's gotten some more attention for the things she's done, but it's not like as mainstream, the way like
Yeah.
Elvis's Hound Dog is mainstream, or like Great Balls of Fire. Like those are like early rock and roll songs, but like listen to like watch some of her live footage, because that's where it's at. You get to see her in action, like her playing down by the riverside, or there's this like the most famous footage of her is she was a part of that revival tour in the 60s, where early blues artists like Muddy Waters and her went out to London and went to the UK, and I think all over Europe. Early 60s, and she's at a train station, and she walks out there. She like comes out like in a horse and carriage or something silly, or like, and she's wearing this big dress and playing an SG, and she plays a few songs, and she's like all these white boys are just like drooling over her. She's
Wow.
so dynamic. So I would suggest checking out some of her live footage. Her Down by the Riverside is pretty epic too.
Didn't she play like a white SG Custom?
Yeah, she played a white SG. I've seen her playing a few different guitars, but yeah, white S. She's like known for her SG.
Yeah, I'm trying to like, I mean, I'm by no means am a historian, but I do have a pretty decent history, especially with jazz. But I teach this class, the history of American popular music, and I just love it because I'm always learning new stuff. Like all right now, I'm kind of obsessed with this pre rock and roll, like rhythm and blues of the early 50s.
Oh,
Like it's
cool.
like everything's ready to like break, and you can
Yeah.
hear it's kind of rock and roll anyway, but not really.
Like who?
Well, just like the, you know, the Louis Prima stuff, not Louis Prima. Oh my God, I'm blanking out on so many of the names. Big Joe Turner,
Yeah.
you know, obviously Ray Charles is early 50s, but um, like, you know, how like the a lot of the boogie woogie piano, if you listen to that, that's like the rhythm, that's like the riffs of rock and roll guitar.
Yeah.
And then the difference is how, like, you know, the rhythm and blues has the shuffle, but then the rock and roll has the straight eights. And when did it switch? And it kind of weaves in and out, and all that kind of stuff is just fascinating, you
Yeah.
know, because we usually, I don't know, as guitar players and as kids, you just usually hear about Chuck Berry and Little Richard and on, but it's like, what about all this music that was right there before that happened?
No.
It's really cool.
It is, yeah, yeah. I read a really good book. What's it called? Something about the Delta Blues. What's it called? Somewhere my actually here, but it was about like the lie of early blues and like
Mhm,
how Robert Johnson wasn't actually famous or relevant during his time, and like
mhm.
the people that we now look back on in the blues, early blues, like that, and even like our conception of it, like a lot of the people that we know were just like burning studio musicians. It was a really interesting book. So yeah, it is fun to know the history of this stuff because it informs the music too.
Yeah, well, Robert Johnson was rediscovered in the early 60s when they had that folk revival, and
Totally.
they put that one record out, and it's like, who's this guy? And they're, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. Because all
Yeah.
those guys were forgotten about.
Yeah, and Robert Johnson was irrelevant versus like Lonnie Johnson, who was like way more
Right.
relevant at the time.
Sure. Oh, Lonnie Johnson was amazing.
He's so good.
That's
Yeah.
that those duets with Eddie Lang.
Mm,
Wow.
yeah.
So what kind of gear you play? I noticed you play like a three, is that a 335 or a 45?
335, I had that coil switch, on it, which is a unique feature from that year. I got one right here. I got this telly that now is no longer exactly a telly because I got a new neck put on it by Mike Thornwall. It's this kind of wild neck that's
Uh,
angular. It's cool. These are kind of my two main axes, my 335 and the telly. I play a bunch of Taylor acoustics. Yeah, I got a Princeton. That's my main guitar amp. I use like Fender tube amps. That's my main thing. But I
what
got
year is your 335?
a 78.
Nice.
Yeah, that's like kind of my baby, and I have a way too many guitars at my apartment.
So you have a lot of guitars too?
Yeah, and even like yeah, I do. I have a lot of guitars. Like I have like a few Gibsons and a few acoustics and a bunch of a Strat. It's like I like my Strat I've had since I was in seventh grade or sixth grade, and it like is special to me. But I don't. It's not like I play it really, but I'm not going to get rid of it. Things like that. Got a
Yeah.
couple nylons. It's just like you just acquire things, and I should sell some stuff, but I get attached. But stupid. I need to be better about selling things. How are you with that? Are you okay at selling things? I need to get better at it.
I'm okay at selling things, and I'm really good at buying things.
Yeah.
People who know me, like, they're like, Jesus, another guitar. I'm like, yeah. I remember I used to, when I first got into it, I'd be like, hey, look at this. And then after like a few years, I'd do it again. And then they go, oh, geez. It started to be embarrassing. I'm like, okay. It gets to be embarrassing. I'm like, I bought another one.
Oh, I
You know?
know. I have too many. Well, like one's nice for practicing, one's nice for traveling, one's nice to teach. It's like no, we don't need all these things.
They're
I
all different though. Every
They
one
are.
of them is different.
Yeah.
I'm a semi-hollow freak, and I have like four of them, and none of them sound remotely alike with each other.
Totally. I have a bunch of semi hollows. I have a Taylor semi hollow that's really cool. This guy, Kevin Eckwitz, is, I have one of his guitar. I have a bunch of semi hollows. I got a few Gibson semi hollows. It's just like, those are more, they vary so much from one to the next.
Yeah, yeah. You ever play any Collings guitars?
Not really. I don't have any. You?
Yeah, I have a few. I have like that's like my favorite brand. So I have like a couple of, I have a few of their guitars, a couple semi hollows. They're like amazing. They're like a Gibson, and they're like perfection, like beautifully made. They sound great. They sound Gibson-ish, but they're still a little different, you know. So I have a Gibson too, and then I have
Yeah.
like a, I've got another Collings coming in that's like a it's kind of like an ES330.
Cool.
So it
Those
looks
are
like a semi-hollow, but P90s fully hollow.
and no block in the middle, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I want a 330. Adam Levy has one that I've played and I just love it, and it has he uses round wounds on them. Ugh, so good.
Yeah, I know. So I'm looking forward to that coming in, and then you seem like you don't use any effects, do you? Am I wrong? You use
I mean,
some effects?
not a ton with the trail, but I do. Yeah, I use a bunch of. I have a pedal board. Yeah, I have a bunch of pedals. I use a ton of Earthquaker Devices pedals and Keeley Electronics and uh, Chase Bliss Audio, Voodoo Lab, A3
She's got a
stuff.
big board.
I mean, I have a decent sized board. I probably have like 9 pedals on it or something. But then I want to make a second board because there's like during quarantine, and my board's like not that wonky. I kind of want a few weirder things on a second board for experimentation.
You know what I just got recently? I've always used a lot of the Line 6 stuff because I'm really into looping when I'm
Yeah.
playing more experimental music. And most pedals that loop will just have a long, long, long time, which I'm not interested in. I want a
Yep.
looper where I can, like what Frizzell does, like chop it up, go backwards, flip the
Yeah.
octaves. So really the only brand that I know of that does that is Line 6. So I had their M9 for a long time, and it's one of those all effects in one.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds pretty damn good, but I just got this new one, which is it's everyone's using the Helix amp modelers now.
Yeah.
It's basically a Helix, but with no amp modeling,
It
just
was,
effects.
is it the HD or something? What's it called?
It's called the HX effects.
I actually just got it. I need to start messing around with it.
I'm telling you, I'm telling all my friends, like sell your
I've
pedal board.
heard.
You don't need it.
I know. I
It
need to.
sounds so good.
Yeah, I just got it. I need to start messing with it. Yeah, no excuses. Yeah, I've heard
Even
amazing.
the overdrives in there are great.
That's what I've heard. I heard it's like so great.
It's the reverbs. It's got all these new Helix reverbs and delays, and it does all the looping that I love. You can flip it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, you know, it's got really everything, and it's got all the weird stuff, filters, synths, everything. And it's like you have like kind of like, I don't know what you'd call them, like banks, and each bank is like 6 effects.
hmm,
So it's like you have, I don't know the numbers, like 30 pedal boards in there.
yeah.
And you can route in any direction you want. You can actually control your amps with it. You can go stereo. You can switch channels. I'm not into channel switching amps, but you can do that.
So cool.
Pretty cool. And I'm like looking at my pedal board going, huh, I don't really need this anymore. It's one
Yeah,
pedal.
I know. I'm so analog. I like to like feel and hear and touch, but I've heard amazing things about it. I'm gonna mess with it because that's what everyone's saying. I may be converted.
Well, a lot of people are getting rid of amps in general and just doing the Helix, which I don't want to go that far.
I'm not ready.
No, I love tube amps. I love tube amps. But you put that in front of a tube amp, man, that's a nice little setup.
Yeah, I think that's maybe my next move. Next time we talk,
Well,
I'll
you
be.
gotta try it out and see how you like it.
Yeah, I will. That is this week.
Cool. So what do you got going on this week? Anything interesting?
I'm turning 32 this week.
Oh, wow. You're so young. 32, 31, 32.
Yeah. So what am I doing? Well, what did I like? I mean, it's been fun. Like last week, actually I do have something fun. I'm playing at a secret location. But it's this big COVID relief thing. I think half of the shows are virtual and half of it's live, but I'm doing the live thing and it's at one of the vaccination sites.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and I think they're going to probably live stream it too, is my guess, because it's a part of the bigger COVID relief thing. But with this awesome artist I play with, Leslie Stevens. So we're playing Friday. And I am really excited about that. So yeah, this week it's just been like teaching and getting kind of my life together. I haven't, like those sorts of, there's like those things, like teaching, practicing, Zoom life. And Friday I have a show, which I'm excited about. And then this weekend, my birthday is Saturday. So I'm gonna be doing lots of hiking. I'm gonna have a lot of really good food, hang out with my boyfriend, hang out with my family. Yeah, that's actually, I'm really excited to, because I've been, you know how it is. Like often we work on the weekends, and
Yeah,
the last few weeks I've actually had some gigs on the weekend. So,
that's
which is kind
good.
of remnants of the past, right? Like having to drive somewhere with my guitar in my car and show up on time and not wear pajamas. All these crazy
That's
things.
very comforting. I'm glad to know that people are doing that because it's
Yeah,
like, I
I know,
miss
and
it.
I think it's gonna be back more and more, which makes me feel good. So yeah, and I have a gig Friday. So after my gig Friday, I might go to the beach, go running, and get ready for my birthday weekend. But I will be still, of course, practicing guitar and all the things. But yeah.
So you're a beach person.
Oh my God, yeah, I live in like on the east side over by Silver Lake. But I love the west side so much. I mean, I think, and like what I say, the best part of the east side is the culture.
Yeah,
Not much of that's happening. The worst side part of the west side is the traffic, way less
yeah.
traffic. So, yeah, yeah, my boyfriend lives on the west side too, so I've been liking my west side weekends quite a bit.
Yeah, I live in Huntington, so like
Oh yeah,
I live at the beach. Always have
I
my
know.
whole life.
It's just the best. Yeah, so I'm gonna spend the weekend at the beach basically, and like, and my parents are in Palos Verdes. I have my other one of my sisters is in Newport Beach. One of my brothers lives in Newport. I mean, Palisades. So like, I have so much family and people pulling me to the west side. I'm not quite there, but one day I think I will be beach bound. For right now, I still feel like my life is too much on the east side.
Well, being near the beach definitely takes you away. I mean, LA is such a spread out place that like, I mean, it's so funny living in Huntington. It takes me a minute to get to LA, but then if you're in Santa Monica, it might take you just as long.
Oh, totally. That's
You
the
know what I
thing.
mean?
Like, I know. So sometimes it's irrelevant. I mean, like during my normal pre-pandemic life, like I was teaching in Pasadena a couple days a week. I had a couple gigs, in downtown or like, but like, I feel like who knows what it'll be like down the line, and I don't know. I can't plan my life. All I know
Yeah.
is I can play guitar and have a positive attitude. That's kind of where I'm at, but no
That's
planning.
all you can do. Let me know when you're playing like anywhere live because like I said, I haven't seen you play live yet. I'd love to see it and I'd love to just get to meet you in person and have a drink
Yes.
and I'll come out because I go out, especially if I'm not gigging, I'll tell my friends like who's playing and I'll just go because I got nothing to do.
I'm the same way, so please let me know when you're playing because I'm hungry for live music, and even during pre-pandemic, I was out every night seeing if I wasn't playing, because like I said, that's my fuel.
Did you hang out at the Whale a lot?
I would go to the Blue Whale, yeah, which is like makes me so sad. June created such a special
Broke my
time.
heart.
Yeah,
I used to love going there. I mean, I loved going any of the places,
I
going to
know.
any
So I'm
gigs
just
and
like hopeful that I did a thing for Sam First a couple weeks ago, and it's just like,
Mhm.
I'm hoping all these venues can last. Sam First, 1642, that's like home base for me. I love it there. ETA,
Yeah.
Perch, of course, I was playing there every Monday. So I'm hoping all these places will stay alive because they were supporting live music. So I hope that people are supporting them during this time. So whenever we're open, they can still exist.
So Sam First is still around as of right now.
Yeah, they've been doing like weekly live streams. And so I actually went into the location and I played with Steve Haas and Corbin Jones. The three of us did like a set. It was so fun. Yeah.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for talking with me and meeting with me. I've been meaning to talk to you for a while, and I was glad that you had the time to do it and everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So nice to chat.
Yeah, yeah. So, if anyone wants to check out your stuff, I'm assuming I know that your CD, the trio CDs on. I use Apple Music, but I'm assuming it's on everything, Spotify, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find, and, like, I'm pretty good on Instagram about posting what's going on. It's at Moody Mill, MOODYMILL. But if you look at Molly Miller Music, that's my website, mollymillermusic.com. I'm easy to find on the internet, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. And if you
Yeah.
guys haven't checked Molly out, I highly recommend it. She's a great player, doing some really cool stuff. So, check out her website, her streaming stuff. You can actually buy her music, right, on iTunes
Yeah.
store, right? Do you have CDs or is it just downloads?
I do have CDs. Thank you for the reminder. I need to ship them. I have 2 with me right now that I was like, "Don't forget to mail out." So, yes.
Okay. Okay. So go to mollymillermusic.com and you can buy a CD. Support
Mhm.
music, buy music.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was great meeting you, and I hope to see you in real person. And have a great birthday this weekend.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Have a good one. Bye bye.